One of the biggest questions that I normally get asked by people interested in diving the Choptima is, how do I set up the unit? How do I normally dive it? And that's probably one of the biggest early questions that has to be answered by new Choptima divers, because the unit's so versatile. It can be dove any way: single tank, back mounted doubles, or side mount. What you're looking at is my rig, how I dive it in the ocean off a boat, usually for wreck diving. And I do it with back mounted low pressure 50s that are independent. You don't see a manifold up here, okay? Because I run two different gases on the left and the right for the diving that I do. I have my nice DiveRite XTs, pressure gauge on my left post, and then a transmitter on my right. It's a standard double setup with the necklace coming off the left post and a 7-foot hose coming off the right. It leads down, and I like it this way because it doesn't change from back mounted doubles for me. The left tank is a leaner gas mix, and I run it as a deep dill or bailout. Right, which means the necklace is right there, perfect for me to use if I have to bail out in a quick situation. All right, the rigging itself isn't any different than how I would normally dive a set of doubles, and the 7-foot hose tucks nicely behind the rebreather, ready to donate for anybody that I might have to, because I dive with a lot of open circuit divers, or as an accelerated deco gas that I could use instead of having to carry another bottle. Not having the manifold there removes any worries about cross mixing and gas. So the two gases remain independent and perfect for me. I run an O2 bottle on my right hip, a little 1 liter, just like a dry suit inflation bottle, and it drives the rebreather perfectly for about 3 hours. If I'm doing a deeper dive or a longer dive, then I'll bottom mount a bottle just like you normally would on the Choptima in side mount for me, or for most divers, just mounting on the bottom of the rebreather with some tank straps. Notice my 7-foot hose. I have an Octo Keeper, the little blue Octo Keeper right there. That's normally how I mount the 7-foot. And then I run it under my waistband just like I would normally do in a back-mounted double setup, and then right behind the rebreather across my chest. The O2 bottle secures, like I said, with a dry suit inflation kit. Easy peasy, nice, simple, clean setup. Keeps me narrow inside the wrecks, with a little taller profile with the rebreather on my chest and the doubles on my back. But the LP50s fit nicely through bulkhead doors, and if need be, I can always shotgun the rebreather in front of me to make my profile a little bit less tall. And as you can tell, I've customized it with that beautiful orange color so students can see me with no questions. You know exactly where I am in the water. Here's a better view of those back-mounted independent 50s that I run. Notice that there's no manifold. That way there's no way to cross-contaminate into each tank. And the bands are narrower than what you find with most bands. These are OMS bands meant for a special manifold. They're harder to find. Nowadays, the bands are a little bit wider. These are actually nice inside the wreck. I run 1830, 2135, air, something on that left side bottle. That's my deep bailout and my diluent. Then on the right hand side, I usually run 30 to 32% with that orange 7-foot hose. Because I dive with a lot of open circuit divers, this means that I can donate to them like a good buddy, or I'm running a richer mix to help accelerate any deco if I do bail out on the 50s. If need be, I can sling 40s or 80s depending on the depth and the duration of the dive. so I can also have more accelerated deco with 50% or oxygen off board whatever I need to on the Choptima as well. The rebreather itself is pretty standard. I run a Nerd controller. I have the beautiful orange covers that my mom makes that I usually give to students once they finish class. This is the newer of the Choptimas, so you notice that the knife is mounted on the front and the OptimaCM is a stitched on badge. And probably the biggest change that I have is the orange bungees. Instead of using the normal clip mounts that come with the Choptima, I've opted for bungees that I think are a little bit more customizable and easier for me to get on and off. And I've used some 550 paracord, so they have their attachment points right down on the bottom. Helps hold the unit tight against me, making everything a little bit nicer, a little bit cleaner. And because I don't have the weight of the O2 bottle on the bottom, everything fits nice and tight against my body. ADV runs a standard low pressure inflator quick disconnect. Easier for me to offboard to whatever regulator that I have available, whatever bottle that I'm carrying. There are a dozen different ways to configure your rig with your Choptima, so don't think this is the only way. It's not even the best way. When I'm cave diving, I run a side mount rig with a Nomad LS. I've single tanked it for traveling. It makes it really, really easy. So however you rig it, as long as you're comfortable in it and you can fly the unit in a nice controlled manner, that's the way that works best for you. Hope the video has helped you out in trying to configure your rig for your Choptima diving.